There's something with David and I that people related to.
Yeah,
they related to it, and they continue to relate to it, and I find that very encouraging, because as far as I was concerned, all I really cared about was being able to reach people.
And I suppose, Paul, that Starsky and Hutch, it's sort of synonymous with you, and I suppose it's always going to be part of you throughout your career. And when you hear the name Starsky and it's mentioned all over the globe, and people say, well, Starsky, that's Paul Michael Glaser, and so to resonate throughout your career, is that something you still feel very humbled by?
Oh, definitely. I feel humbled by it, and I feel reassured that I'm not crazy. Oh, too crazy.
Yeah. And I suppose, Paul, the sort of, I suppose when you're in a sort of tight-knit family and a sort of a project, and we've done series about the A-Team to Cheers to Married with Children and to Magnum PI dating back, and the one thing that resonates is all the cast members probably say is that sort of a family bond that is created with the legacy, and it never leaves. And do you still almost feel like that family bond between yourself and Antonio Fargas and David Soul, that even though yet you mightn't see each other as regularly as what you would like to these days, that's still there with you?
Absolutely. You don't spend that amount of time under such intense conditions, 14 hours a day and like that. You don't spend that much time without forming a bond of some kind. And I think that there was a quality of care and decency that we all shared. And some were more outspoken than others, but that was the case. And we found ourselves pitted against an institution, the networks, that did not want to challenge the status quo, that wanted to maintain stasis, keep things as they are. And so people's natural inclination to resist change was something we always had to deal with.
And I suppose Starsky and Hutch, they strike you as two sort of casual blokes, something that you wouldn't see as the regiment routine sort of police detective. But what brought Starsky and Hutch to prominence was their backstories, what was their daily lives that were going on outside the police force, the hours of duty, and how that got intertwined on many occasions with their cases, and it made people feel a reality to these police officers, and made them feel like a sort of they could care or they could resonate with them, and it sort of brought that mantle off the sort of the authority figure that was what was the police force at that time.
I'm sorry, what's the question?
The question is, do you feel that the characters bringing the characters aspect to the lives, not being just stringent detectives on cases, that made Starsky and Hutch more appealing to the modern day audience?
Well, I think that anytime, the audience wants to relate to another human being. And whatever helps, whether it's the actor's portrayal or, the issues that are discussed or dramatized, those all have to do with letting the audience feel that connection. And that's the most important thing. That's that chemistry, that word that keeps being bandied about, is so important. There's a recognition that the human being comes first, not the procedure, not the institution, but the human being. And I think that's a large part of what people respond to.
And I suppose, Paul, you've done an awful lot of directing in your career, and you've directed famous movies and TV series, from The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger to Miami Vice. And what sort of influence did the producer of Starsky and Hutch, Aaron Spelling, have on you, and the whole directing and producing of Starsky and Hutch? How did that have on your career as well?
Well, I tried to get out of the show the first season. I didn't feel like we were being put to good use, and we were being resisted an awful lot. And when I came back, I said, I want you to know that I'm coming back. I want to learn how to direct. Okay. And they, I would have to say that out of respect to them, they had achieved a fair amount of success with tried and true formulas, and their natural inclination was to hold on to that and to resist any questioning of the status quo, and to try to stretch and grow. However, their responsibility was in business, was marketing. Our responsibility was to try to find different ways to creatively expose the human condition and relate to people. So we would oftentimes ask why not instead of why. Why not try something? And when it came to directing, that was pretty much my point of view. I was trying to learn the technical aspects of the job, but I was also very much invested in what the story I was telling, what impact it had. For instance, David and I both had a problem with all of the gratuitous violence, and we kept saying, it's very important to take responsibility for the emotional impact, not only on the person who commits the violence, but on the person whom the violence is committed on. And it costs, and it costs something to shoot somebody or to hurt another human being. It has a repercussion, and so we wanted to explore that also, and so I eventually just in one episode I said, because they were resisting us and the network was resisting us, I had this scene where I had to step out into a hallway while David helped this person we were rescuing, and I took David's rifle and my rifle. They were automatic weapons, and they directly yelled action, and I stepped into the hallway and I just emptied both clips. Just emptied them, because I was trying to make a statement that this goes beyond the ridiculous. I think that's still a problem today. I think people handle it more accurately and more sensitively than they did. The question of whether people are able to respond, I am heartened by the fact that Starsky and Hutch continues to resonate, because in this world today where people are being bombarded by so much information on the internet, telephones, all of that business, that it must be very, very difficult in the face of that much information and that much exposure to all the violence and everything around the world. It must be very difficult, especially for young people, to stay open, stay vulnerable, to not suppress all their inner feelings, and it's very difficult to be willing to confront that fear. It's a real problem right now for humanity, because we tend to become inured to all of that violence, and so The Starsky Hutch continues to resonate it's a positive sign.
And I suppose, Paul, before I